So I am feeling in slightly better spirits after a better night's sleep. Partially, it just wasn't as cold. The last couple of nights when I get in the sleeping bag, I am warm enough with my 10 degree, but it takes hours before everything kind of evens out. Partially, I'm probably a little lower down. Also, the ground under the tree, is kind of protected. This was a cool campsite. I can tell somebody came in here with a saw at some point and kind of made it, though there was still a lot of low branches I had to break off. I'm afraid of ripping my puffy again. It was a relief to be able to actually cook dinner last night. So hopefully today will be a little better. It's only 18 miles to the next cache. Other than that, there's not any water sources that even look like I want to mess with. The 2 stock ponds that were in decent shape that I would have filtered out were behind me. I should hopefully be able to make that cache. I keep hoping that the terrain's going to get a little easier, and it keeps kicking my butt. So it's funny, you can look at the elevation profile, but the reality is I can do a climb that is straightforward, meaning it's gradual, not to the point where it's killing my knees and I'm having to kind of crank it every step. And that will often go faster than downhill, or even like yesterday where I was doing all that up and down. At some point, I am going to hit the section that I did this spring on the Grand Enchantment Trail, and that I remember going a lot quicker. Granted, that was because I was on the Grand Enchantment Trail and I was spending a lot of time bushwhacking and whatnot, but there's hope. I also pulled the weather forecast through the inReach because I haven't had reception for days. I think I got it once since reserve. I do not trust that worth a damn, but I'm just so curious what's going to happen with this storm coming. At least that thing was claiming there's precipitation tomorrow morning, but it's just mostly going to be windy throughout. It was actually really still, and when I got up at 4 o'clock, it was surprisingly warm. I was, feeling like I had too many layers. And then the wind picked up like an hour before sunrise, and now it's kind of chilly. Didn't hear any cows last night, but I did hear some donkeys braying this morning, kind of close. Never caught sight of them though. So this morning, once I climb out of my tree, I basically have to finish going over Pelona Mountain, and at that point I have another lowland crossing, which those are a mixed bag. A lot of those have been rougher than the mountain areas as far as trail. After that, I get into the Black Range proper, and I'll be up there for quite a while. I anticipate probably another 3 nights out here until Winston, but we'll see. This has been the best campsite I've had for days, tucked away here in a tree. It was also the one patch of dirt I could find in this entire field. And the morning ritual of double checking how much water I have left. Basically, these are full. This has the dregs. I had 1 cup of coffee this morning. I ended up having to drink some of this last night because it was really dry. Woke up really thirsty, so I'm withholding additional cups of coffee in favor of having this for the day. If I have to spend another night out here, ideally I would have one of these and a partial of this. That seems to be realistic for how much water I'm going through. This really is one of the better camps I've come up with. I think what happened is years ago somebody cut the branches back because there's a brush pile and the remains of an old fire pit around. It doesn't look like anybody's been here other than me and the animals for a while though. No sign of any of the donkeys I was hearing last night. We run across a lot of them in Death Valley when I'm leading trips out there, Panamint City, stuff like that. They're cool to see. Unfortunately, they do leave a fair amount of waste. And unlike coyotes, their call in the night is not my favorite. I remember one night, years and years ago, I swear we must have been camped next to a donkey orgy with all the sounds that were happening all around us in the dark. A friend of mine has a couple of times done this burro race out in Death Valley. They actually give you a burro and you do the race with them. All the dead grass has been playing havoc with my tights. This particular spot isn't too bad, but I have all these little burrs and things sticking out of my long johns. Last year when I came back to trail after Noro and I was expecting to be out, into November, it was going to get cold. I actually had 2 pairs of long johns, one to wear as tights and then one to wear to bed. I didn't do that this year, and I'm starting to kind of wish I had the second pair. Because with this wind, it's hard to hike without them. So if you wonder why the trail through here is spending so much time going up and over these random mountain ranges instead of just doing boring road walks down in the valleys, it is actually tracing the geographic divide through this section. The only thing worse than the wind is this grass covering lava rocks and gopher holes. Well, at least somebody's getting a use out of these cairns. Giant rat nest. Finally! Trail drops down into a canyon. Hopefully getting me out of the wind. And, you know, as long as I'm making a wish list. Wouldn't mind an actual dirt trail. Okay, well, as long as wish lists are being answered, I really wouldn't mind coming around the corner and finding a Mexican food restaurant and a Starbucks. Much better down here with the wind. You know, the one thing that I really wish something like Far Out would get, we already have Far Out, we've got a couple other apps out there, but none of them have any of like the context data behind sections of the trail or decisions that were made. That's all tribal knowledge, and short of running into somebody in one of the trail organizations, if they even know it, you know, I think a lot of that probably just gets lost in time. But that's the sort of thing I would find interesting. When I did the Condor Trail, there is an actual paper guidebook, and it being the only source, I actually had bought that and carried it with me on Kindle on the phone app. And it actually talked about the history of some of the areas, you know, XYZ Homestead, why this had a name. And when I'm sitting at home, I'm less interested in that. When I'm out here, oh, I will eat that up. I know it's pretty much never going to happen because it's hard enough to keep the guides up to date with just relevant details, but that's one of those things. Like here, you know, I keep going through savannas and all of a sudden it's a well-maintained trail. Or what was the deal with all those experimental sheep? I am still really struggling to calibrate my sense of pace and speed. You know, when I was on the Mississippi, it was awesome because we did these massive 50-mile days, so it felt like we were moving faster than usual. Got back out here, it took a little while to kind of get back in the groove, okay, 2 or 3 miles an hour, depending on terrain. And then this section, even when I have like a good patch, like yesterday afternoon or a few of the mornings where I make decent progress, something just slams me to a halt at some point. So I keep feeling like I should be able to do more. Even, you know, oh, wow, more coming. That's the second time this trip where me talking too much has been a footage advantage. The other was me actually capturing the moment when I sprained my calf. I think I've seen more elk in this section than I have the entire rest of the CDT. Anyway, yeah, it's hard to get a sense for realistic progress. The shorter days mean I don't have as much fudge. The challenging weather, the challenging trail. Like this, I'm moving pretty good. That climb up and over across the cow field, not so much with all the rocks and everything. It's only so fast I can go without risking twisting an ankle. Food carry planning wise, I could just use Condor Trail rules and, you know, plan on a solid 15 a day, but 7 days of food with 6 liters of water, that's starting to be serious carry there. Currently it is 15 miles to the water cache. If it was normal trail, I would say no problem. Out here, who knows? Have to see what the trail is. I'm almost hopeful that when I'm going between the ranges here, it's just going to be a Jeep road or something. Quite frankly, I could use the pace kick up. Yeah. And more donkeys. They're much cooler when they're not braying loudly 100 feet from your tent at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not very used to people, I guess. Jen would love them for their fuzziness. Came through a gate, started down a well-established dirt road with tire tracks. Got all excited thinking, oh hey, maybe I'll run into somebody out here. Maybe they'll have extra water. Wrong road. And even the poopy stock ponds are dry down here. This is the sort of thing I can get some miles on. Unfortunately, looking ahead, I'm seeing a lot of the little flag cairn icons, which usually means cross country. Oh well, nice while it lasted. Even getting to practice my limbo game today. I gotta say, this is kind of feeling like some sort of oddball orienteering exercise. It's having me do turns and things out here that don't seem to correspond to anything. Kind of wonder if there used to be more fences or things like that. Property grids. Nothing like doing big sweeps around big chunks of nothing. 3 o'clock, 5 more miles to the water cache, so fairly confident I'll make it tonight. Plan will be fill up, grab a jug of water if there's any left, and then try and find someplace out of the wind because it has been unrelenting down here. So there's some of that precipitation that was promised. Also, I was kind of hoping the straight line was going to be a Jeep road, but oh well. I also was looking ahead last time I took a shoulder break, and just past where I'm getting the water in another 10 miles, I actually joined with the Grand Enchantment. So I'm familiar with a couple of days worth of trail. It's mostly good, especially because there's 2 springs and only one of them I want to visit again. The other one was way off trail and barely anything in spring. Bad news is water gets a little more questionable further south. So I start going south soon. I wonder if I end up in that. This is the weather that was foretold. Hopefully I get lucky and it kind of misses me. It's been raining over there today. And yeah, here's hoping the water cache is still intact. Should be over by the register. Then I'm going to have to keep going and try and get to some protected spot. Oh yeah. Looks like only one other person here. Most people listen this time. Okay, filled up, not expecting water till Winston. Unfortunately, I don't know that I'm going to make it out of this Adobe Ranch range, but we'll see. So I went with the same plan, filling my hard-sideds and grabbing an extra jug. I swapped the one I carried from the last one to here. since I know the guy is coming back. So at least for the moment I have oodles of water. Should be enough to get me to Winston based on how things are going. However, what I really need is a protected campsite. Hopefully I get into vegetation. Gotta love those desert sunsets. Well, this kind of sucks. I should have called it at the road. I just hate being accessible, even in an area like this where it might help me. Okay, that was torture. I was basically walking across an open field without even being able to see the stakes or anything. So that basically means my phone had to be out every minute or two to avoid wandering out. I am just trying to get clear of the ranch slash find some non-rocky surface to camp on. Okay, I did actually find a decent campsite, but looking at the map, I'm pretty sure I'm not back on public land quite yet, so I'm going to push it till I know I'm good. Okay, well that doesn't explicitly say no camping within the 20-foot easement. I feel like a good person. Now I should be able to set up. Okay, got a few raindrops just as I came across the fence and decided to treat that as a sign. I am, for once, ahead of the miles that I was hoping to get today, and I have more than enough water. I can actually drink water tonight. I'm still not completely home free. I have 20 some miles to Winston, and if I get there late, I'm not going to be able to hitch in. So we'll see. Probably still the day after, and I'm going to have to do some stuff in Winston. I'm also pretty nervous about the section south of Winston because, quite frankly, I'm not sure there's going to be enough water sources. This has kind of been a challenge here, and I have less beta down there because of the fire. I carried 9 beautiful liters of water across that field. I haven't drank a whole lot today, so that'll let me hydrate. I didn't even take a break at the water cache because it was going to get dark and I saw I had another 4 some miles to go. Gotta love homemade lanterns, huh? So it is a little after 7. I did a good day today. Today actually went really, really well. Yesterday was so bad by the end of the day. I think I switched my audiobook 3 times before I just gave up and listened to music because I was just not having a good time. By the time I'd stopped and set up my tent, I was thinking that I kind of wished I was the sort of person to give up on something like this. Because then I could consider, not continuing here. But yeah, better day. Should be good to Winston. Now the stress is just the section south of Winston. It's another 100 some miles, and the water beta is less, and I don't even have these water caches as a backup. There are some streams further south, but yeah, I just don't know if they're going. But anyway, home sweet home, and we'll see what happens with the weather.